The galaxy trembled. For 10,000 years, a single truth ruled the stars. When the Vyrak Dominion came for a world, that world fell. Their fleets burned skies. Their soldiers slaughtered armies. No walls, no weapons, no defenses ever stood against them. They were predators. The kind of predators that didn't just kill, they erased. Entire civilizations disappeared in a single night. Planets went dark without a signal. Systems that once sang with life turned into silent graveyards. The galaxy's historians stopped recording battles against the Vyrak. There was no need. Battles required two sides. Against the Vyrak, there was only one. Yet now, something stirred. Amid the ruins, amid the fear, a whisper traveled through the stars. A faint signal, ignored by most, hidden in old frequencies, carried a name thought long forgotten. A planet. A people. A species dismissed as weak. The signal came from Earth. The Vyrak Dominion began its conquest long before most species learned to leave their homeworlds. Born from a death world of endless storms and carnivorous beasts, the Vyrak evolved as killers. Their society was built on strength. Their language carried no word for mercy. To the Vyrak, existence was simple: dominate or die. For millennia, they spread across the stars. No species slowed them down. Their weapons outmatched every rival. Their ships cut through defenses like blades through silk. To the common people of the galaxy, the Vyrak were not just rulers. They were gods of war, eternal, untouchable. On the edge of the Orion Arm, 3 colonies burned in a single week. Worlds with populations in the billions vanished. Their names were carved into the ever-growing list of those who resisted and were erased. The galaxy trembled once again. In a hidden chamber orbiting a dying star, the secret council gathered. Representatives of a dozen species, leaders who still dreamed of survival, sat in silence. None wanted to speak first. Their voices, their pleas, their arguments, all of it seemed useless. Every strategy they had tried against the Vyrak had failed. "They come for us one by one," whispered Chancellor Male of the Creel, his insectoid wings folded tight. "We cannot stop them. Not with fleets, not with treaties, not with prayers. Their empire will not end until every world is theirs," rasped the scaled warlord of the Shorak. "And when that day comes, none of us will remain." Silence followed. They all knew it. The Vyrak were inevitable. Yet in that silence, an elder from the Ilaris rose slowly. His people were scholars, not warriors, but his voice carried a strange weight. "There is another option," he said. The others turned, eyes narrowing. The elder tapped the console, projecting an image into the chamber. A small blue planet shimmered in the hologram, its oceans gleaming like jewels against the void. Earth. A murmur spread through the council. "Primitive," spat the Shorak warlord. "A forgotten world. They have no fleets, no empire, no strength." "Perhaps," the elder said quietly. "But the archives tell a different story." The council chamber dimmed as the elder pulled up fragmented records. Old battles. Ancient wars. Reports buried and hidden by those who did not want to believe. Long ago, before the Dominion rose to power, there were incidents, the elder explained. Small skirmishes. Fleets sent against humans. Fleets that did not return. One by one, images flickered, destroyed armadas, wreckage drifting in cold space. The insectoid chancellor hissed in disbelief. "That is impossible. Nothing survives against the Vyrak," growled the warlord. The elder shook his head. "This was not the Vyrak. This was us. Our kind. Other empires. Other conquerors. They underestimated humans." The room fell silent. The elder's voice dropped lower. "It is said the humans fought as no other species does. They adapted. They endured. They bled, but they never surrendered. They fought wars so brutal, so merciless, that even the records are hard to read." On the screen, ancient human war machines appeared, primitive by galactic standards, but savage, efficient, unrelenting. Some say humans are predators too, the elder whispered. Not like the Vyrak, but something far more dangerous. Predators who fight not for hunger or dominance, but for survival. For vengeance. Far from the council chamber, in the dark reaches of the Perseus Arm, a Vyrak patrol fleet drifted. They were hunters, their ships sharp and sleek, their commanders arrogant. They had just finished burning a colony to ash when their long-range scanners picked up something unusual. A small ship. Alone. Its design was unfamiliar. Its signature, faint. It moved with purpose, not like prey fleeing, but like a predator stalking. The Vyrak captain laughed. Another weakling ship, lost in our space. Destroy it. The fleet adjusted course, weapons primed. But as they closed in, the unknown vessel did not flee. It turned. It faced them. A transmission pulsed across every channel. Not words in galactic trade tongue, not threats in Vyrak growls, but a clear, simple message translated by their systems. We are human. Leave this space. Laughter shook the Vyrak bridge. Weak prey, daring to speak like predators. Destroy them, the captain snarled. Weapons locked. Energy beams lit the void. The human ship moved. It was small, yes. Primitive in appearance. But it danced through fire with impossible precision. Shots that should have hit slipped past as if the ship had predicted them. Then came the retaliation. The first Vyrak destroyer split apart in silence, a perfect lance of energy cutting through its heart. Then, another. And another. The laughter died. The hunters bled. When the human ship vanished into the void, only wreckage remained. A patrol fleet of the galaxy's apex predators, gone. When word spread, no one believed it. The Vyrak dismissed the story as lies, as weakness, as propaganda. But whispers carried weight. A predator species had bled. In the underworld markets of Orion, smugglers spoke of a shadow ship flying human banners. In the hidden colonies, refugees told stories of a blue world rising again. And in the secret council, hope, dangerous, reckless hope, began to stir. What if it is true? Chancellor Mail whispered. What if humans still live? What if they have returned? The elder's eyes gleamed. Then the predators, he said softly, may have finally found their match. Closing suspense. Across the stars, the Vyrak Dominion prepared for another conquest, confident, unstoppable, unchallenged. But in the silence of deep space, a single human scout ship drifted unseen. Its sensors watched, its systems recorded, its message waiting to be carried home. Earth was listening. And soon, Earth would answer. The Vyrak Dominion laughed. Across the galaxy, their admirals mocked the rumors. A lone human ship? A scout that slipped past a patrol? Lies. No single vessel could destroy a Vyrak fleet. Not possible. Not real. Yet deep inside their own archives, in reports long hidden even from their soldiers, something unsettled them. Black box recordings. Patrol beacons gone silent. The same message appearing again and again. We are human. Leave this space. For the first time in centuries, the predators of the galaxy hesitated. Because whispers had become signals. And signals carried warnings. Warnings that could not be ignored. Admiral Kreth of the Vyrak Dominion sat within the bridge of the flagship Bloodfang. His scales glistened in the red light. His voice low and confident as he addressed the War Council. Stories, he spat. That is all. The weak cling to myths when they are about to be consumed. There are no humans. If they survived, they would have shown themselves long ago. They are nothing. But one of his subcommanders shifted uneasily. Admiral, the patrol fleet near the Perseus Arm, destroyed. The wreckage confirmed. And the human message was broadcast on all frequencies. The chamber fell silent. Kretha's claws dug into the command rail. Then find them. Hunt them. Show the galaxy what happens to liars who dare use the name human. Orders spread like fire. Fleets redeployed. Scouts dispatched. Yet the harder they searched, the less they found. The humans, if they were real, were ghosts. Far from the Dominion, the secret council gathered once more. Chancellor Mail's wings twitched as he replayed the intercepted human message. The voice was calm, confident. Not a plea. Not a cry for help. A warning. The Shorak warlord snarled. It is a trick. A single ship cannot challenge the Vyrak. But what if it is not a trick? Asked the Ilaris elder, his eyes sharp. What if the humans have returned? What if they never left? Silence. No one wanted to admit it aloud, but in their hearts, hope stirred. For centuries, no one had stood against the Vyrak. No one had fought back. No one had dared to send a warning to the apex predators of the stars. But humans had. And that meant something. On the edge of the Saraxis belt, another Vyrak fleet prowled. 6 destroyers. 2 cruisers. A force strong enough to level 3 colonies in a night. Their sensors caught it again. The signal. The same transmission pulsing across the void. We are human. Leave this space. The Vyrak commander growled in fury. They mock us. All ships, attack. The fleet surged forward. Weapons lit the dark. At first, there was nothing. Then, like a shadow peeling away from the stars, the human ship appeared. The same design. Small. Unassuming. Alone. But it did not run. The Vyrak unleashed fire. Energy beams cut across the black. Missiles streaked toward the human vessel. The human ship moved like no prey had ever moved. Every shot missed by meters, as if the ship had predicted the attack before it was fired. Then the retaliation came. One Vyrak destroyer exploded in silence, its hull cut clean in half. Another vanished in a blossom of fire. The commander roared, demanding all ships converge. But the more they pressed, the more they fell. One by one, the predators bled. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, the human ship vanished again, leaving wreckage adrift in its wake. The survivors carried the story back to the Dominion. This time, no one laughed. The Vyrak had ruled by terror for millennia. They knew how fear worked. They used it as a weapon against the weak. But now, that same weapon was turning against them. Whispers spread in the barracks. Warriors who once boasted of slaughtering billions now spoke in hushed voices about the phantom ship. Some swore it was more than one. Some claimed entire patrol fleets were disappearing. And the message always came first. We are human. Leave this space. Admiral Kreth grew restless. He demanded answers. But every time the humans appeared, every time they struck, the result was the same. Vyrak dead, humans gone. The predators were being hunted. On Earth, deep beneath the mountains of the old continents, hidden command centers came alive. The intercepted transmissions played across glowing screens. The humans listened. The Council of Earth, leaders who had waited centuries in silence, finally heard their species' name echo across the galaxy again. The Dominion has noticed us, one general said. Good, another replied coldly. Let them notice. Earth's fleets stirred. Not vast. Not endless. But precise. Calculated. Ready. Humanity had not forgotten the galaxy. They had simply been waiting. Watching. Preparing for the moment predators thought themselves untouchable. That moment had come. For the smaller civilizations, the news spread like wildfire. In secret channels, in forbidden transmissions, refugees and rebels whispered one word again and again. Humans. For generations, they had been dismissed as myth. Old war stories told to frighten children. But now, survivors swore it was true. Humans had returned. And if humans were real, maybe, just maybe, the galaxy could fight back. Hope was dangerous. Hope was fragile. But hope was alive. In the void beyond the Saraxis belt, the human scout ship drifted silent. Its systems recorded every Vyrak movement, every weakness, every fear. The transmission repeated once more, across all channels, across all stars. We are human. Leave this space. And far away, in the heart of Earth's hidden fleet, a commander gave the order no alien had ever expected to hear again. Begin mobilization. The hunters had become the hunted. And the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy gasped. For the first time in living memory, the Vyrak Dominion, the apex predators, the unstoppable conquerors, bled. A patrol fleet had not returned. Another was found torn apart, wreckage scattered across the void. Survivors whispered of a ghost ship, a vessel carrying an old name long thought dead, human. At first, the Dominion dismissed the stories. Lies. Weakness. Impossible. But now, undeniable evidence drifted in space. Burned hulks of Vyrak warships. Black box recordings. The same chilling transmission. We are human. Leave this space. The predators had been wounded. And across the stars, the galaxy trembled, not in fear, but in something dangerous. Hope. In the war chamber aboard the flagship Bloodfang, Admiral Kreth roared, his claws tearing deep into the command rail. Destroyed? By a single ship, he bellowed. You dare bring me such lies? The officer kneeling before him trembled, but pressed on. The wreckage was confirmed, Admiral. Our ships were not disabled, they were hunted. And the signal was broadcast to every survivor. The humans taunted us. Kreth's jaws tightened. For centuries, he had crushed empires, burned fleets, devoured worlds. Never once had the Dominion tasted defeat. Now, someone had dared to wound them. Then we will remind the galaxy what happens to prey that bares its teeth, Kreth snarled. Assemble a fleet. 10 destroyers. 4 cruisers. 2 carriers. Hunt the humans down. Leave nothing. The order spread. The Vyrak Dominion prepared its counterstrike. But the humans were not prey. Far from Earth, hidden in the folds of dark space, the UNS Revenant drifted. The ship was sleek, black, nearly invisible. Its crew moved with silent precision, eyes fixed on the data streaming across their displays. The captain, Commander Elias Kale, studied the wreckage reports. His expression was cold, his voice measured. They're taking the bait, he said. The crew nodded. For weeks, the Revenant had stalked the Vyrak. They studied their tactics, their formations, their arrogance. Every move was calculated, every encounter a test. And now, the predators had overreached. They're sending a full fleet, Kale continued. Good. It's time the galaxy saw what happens when predators bleed. The ship's engines hummed. In the void, the hunters became the hunted. The Vyrak fleet surged into the Saraxis Rift, a region of fractured asteroids and unstable gravity wells. Perfect hunting ground, or so they thought. Their sensors pinged. The human vessel appeared. Alone. Small. Daring to face them. Admiral Kreth laughed, his voice echoing across the fleet. There it is. The myth. The lie. Destroy it. The Dominion's weapons roared to life. Beams of searing energy tore through space. Missiles streaked forward. The void itself seemed to burn. But the human ship moved. The Revenant twisted between asteroids with inhuman precision. Shots missed by inches. Missiles locked on, then lost their target as the ship vanished behind gravitational shadows. And then, the retaliation. A lance of white-hot energy cut across the void. One destroyer split apart instantly, a fireball consuming its crew. Then, another. Kreth's laughter died. His eyes narrowed. This was no accident. No lucky strike. The humans were not running. They were bleeding him. Impossible. Kreth roared as another destroyer erupted in flames. Converge. Crush them. The Dominion ships swarmed, firing wildly. But the more they pressed, the worse it became. The Revenant struck like a ghost, appearing and vanishing in shadows. Every shot was precise, every kill deliberate. A cruiser's engines exploded, sending the vessel spiraling into an asteroid. A carrier split open, fighters pouring out in panic only to be torn apart seconds later. The hunters were panicking. For the first time, Vyrak warriors felt something alien. Something cold. Something they had inflicted on billions, but never endured themselves. Fear. On the bridge of the Revenant, Commander Kale's voice remained steady. Target the carriers. Cut their wings. The crew obeyed without hesitation. The ship pivoted, unleashing another strike. A Vyrak carrier detonated, its wreckage scattering across the rift. The second followed moments later. The fleet was broken. The Vyraks scrambled in disarray, their formations collapsing. Kale watched silently. His crew exchanged glances, awe and dread mixing on their faces. "Sir," one officer whispered, "we're making history." Kale's eyes remained fixed on the burning fleet. "No," he said softly. "We're reminding the galaxy of the truth." When the battle ended, the Revenant vanished into the void once more. Only a fraction of the Vyrak fleet survived, limping back to Dominion space. Their reports were confused, panicked, contradictory. Some swore they faced multiple human ships. Others insisted the vessel was alive, as if the humans had built a predator in the shape of a warship. But one detail was always the same. The transmission. The warning. The declaration that chilled even the fiercest predators. "We are human. Leave this space." Across the stars, the news spread like wildfire. Refugees celebrated in secret. Oppressed colonies dared to hope. Even ancient empires, long resigned to Vyrak rule, whispered of rebellion. For the first time in millennia, the Dominion's invincibility was broken. And for the first time in living memory, the galaxy asked a question it had forgotten how to ask. What if the predators can be stopped? In the war chamber of the Dominion, Admiral Kreth stood in silence as the wreckage reports scrolled before him. His claws clenched, his jaws tight. The Vyrak had been humiliated. And somewhere out there, in the shadows of the stars, humans were watching. Kreth growled, his voice cold and venomous. "Find them. Burn their worlds. Erase them." But deep down, beneath his rage, a seed of fear had taken root. The apex predators had bled. And the galaxy would never forget it. The unthinkable had happened. The galaxy's apex predators, the Vyrak Dominion, had bled. Entire fleets, once thought invincible, now drifted as wreckage across cold space. Survivors whispered of shadow ships, of impossible maneuvers, of precision strikes that cut through the Dominion like knives through flesh. At first, the Dominion tried to hide it. They silenced reports, destroyed records, executed officers who spoke too freely. But whispers spread faster than fire in dry fields. The story slipped into the underground channels, into smuggler networks, into the ears of refugees and rebels who had lived too long in fear. 3 words ignited hope across the stars. "We are human." Admiral Kreth slammed his clawed hand into the command rail as another report appeared on the Bloodfang's holotable. More wreckage. More lost patrols. More whispers. "The humans are spreading lies," he growled, his voice a low rumble. "We cannot allow this infection of weakness to take root. If fear spreads, we lose control." His advisors bowed low, but their eyes betrayed unease. The Vyrak Dominion had ruled by terror for millennia. Their strength was not just their weapons. It was the belief that they could not be defeated. Now, that belief was cracking. And once fear entered the Dominion, it was difficult to contain. On the colony world of Zoran, miners who had lived under Vyrak whips for generations gathered in hidden tunnels. They had heard the whispers. "Humans," one of them said, his voice trembling with both fear and hope. "They're fighting back. They destroyed a fleet." "Lies." Another spat, though his eyes betrayed longing. "No one can fight the Dominion." But an old smuggler leaned forward, his voice quiet. "I saw it. I was near the Ser-Axis rift when it happened. Their ships burned. The Vyrak ran. The chamber fell silent. The thought was dangerous, suicidal. Yet in the hearts of slaves and refugees, the idea took root. If the Vyrak could bleed, maybe they could fall. In the hidden council chamber orbiting the dying star, the debate raged. Chancellor Mail's wings flickered with nervous energy. The humans are real. They are fighting back. We must reach them. We must ally. The Shorak warlord snarled. Ally? With predators? We exchange one master for another. The humans will be no different. They are different, the Ilaris elder said firmly. His eyes glowed with quiet conviction. The humans do not conquer for hunger. They fight for survival. For vengeance. They are the only species who can stand against the Dominion. The chamber fell silent. Finally, Mail whispered the question that none dared ask aloud. What if the humans are not here to save us? What if they are here to finish what the Vyrak began? Far from the debates, Earth remained quiet. The UNS Revenant continued its silent war, stalking fleets, striking without mercy, then vanishing like a phantom. Each attack spread more panic. Each transmission carried the same chilling warning. We are human. Leave this space. But Earth itself gave no message. No council spoke to the galaxy. No explanation was offered. Only silence. The silence was deliberate. Strategic. It forced the galaxy to fill the void with its own imagination. Were humans saviors? Predators? Avenging angels? No one knew. And that made them even more terrifying. In the Dominion capital, fear was turning to anger. The High Dominion Council gathered, their armored forms towering over the chamber. One by one, reports scrolled before them. Fleets destroyed. Colonies whispering rebellion. Vyrak warriors hesitating before battle. This cannot continue, the High Chancellor roared. If fear spreads further, the galaxy will rise against us. They already are, one general hissed. The council fell silent. The truth hung heavy. For centuries, the Vyrak had been hunters. But now they were prey. On distant worlds, sparks ignited. Small rebellions began. Slave uprisings. Sabotage. Colonies refusing to send tribute. The Vyrak crushed each one with brutal efficiency. Entire populations were wiped out as examples. Yet for every rebellion destroyed, two more whispers rose. The name spread like wildfire. Human. Children whispered it like a prayer. Rebels painted it on walls. Captains carved it into the hulls of their ships. And deep in the void, humans watched silently, their fleet waiting. Admiral Kreth, desperate to restore fear, made a fateful decision. He ordered a mass broadcast across the galaxy. His massive warship appeared on every channel, his voice a guttural roar. There are no humans. There are only liars and cowards. The Dominion is eternal. And to prove it, we will burn the planet Earth to ash. The words echoed across the stars. Civilizations trembled. Some believed him. Some doubted. But all turned their eyes to one question. How would Earth respond? In the silence of a hidden command center beneath Earth's mountains, generals watched the Vyrak broadcast replay. The Dominion had made their move. Now, it was humanity's turn. A single order echoed through the chamber, calm and final. Prepare the fleet. The galaxy's strongest predators had declared war. And humanity was about to answer. The galaxy held its breath. The Vyrak Dominion had made their challenge clear. Earth would burn. Their fleets, thousands strong, were already gathering near the edges of human-claimed space, a storm of warships unlike anything seen in living memory. But something the galaxy didn't expect happened next. For the first time in millennia, a species stood in the Dominion's path and did not run. The humans didn't beg. They didn't hide. They didn't surrender. Instead, they answered the Dominion's roar with silence, then lit the stars with fire. Admiral Kreth stood aboard the Bloodfang, pride swelling as his vast fleet stretched into the void. Thousands of warships bristling with weapons. "Let the galaxy watch," he growled. "Let them see Earth broken. Let them fear us once more." The fleet pushed into the Sol corridor, scanners probing for signs of human resistance. Dominion war doctrine was simple: overwhelm, crush, annihilate. But this time, something was different. Human ships didn't retreat. They didn't scatter. They waited. In Earth's hidden command center, silence reigned. Dozens of officers watched their displays, hands hovering over controls. General Marcus Hale, a man with iron in his voice, stood at the center. "The Dominion thinks this will be a slaughter." "They're right." One officer frowned. "Sir, our numbers." Hale cut him off. "We don't need numbers. We need precision." On the screens, Vyrak fleets advanced in tight formations. Perfect order. Perfect predictability. "Mark the lead warships," Hale ordered. "Target command carriers first. Break their chain of control. Then, let chaos do the rest." The Dominion didn't even see it coming. A single human warship, the UNS Revenant, decloaked in the midst of the Vyrak's vanguard. It unleashed a salvo of kinetic penetrators, slugs accelerated to near-light speed. In less than 3 seconds, 3 Dominion command carriers exploded into blinding fireballs. Confusion ripped through the fleet. Orders clashed. Formations faltered. And then, the human fleet arrived. From the black void, hundreds of human ships dropped from FTL, their hulls marked with Earth's insignia. They weren't as massive as the Vyrak warships. They weren't as numerous. But they were faster, smarter, deadlier. Human vessels darted between Dominion lines, weaving through fire like hunters among prey. Their weapons struck with surgical precision: command bridges, reactor cores, engines. Every shot counted. And for the first time in living memory, the galaxy watched as the Vyrak Dominion struggled. On thousands of worlds, the battle was broadcast in secret. Refugees huddled around flickering screens. Smugglers patched into military frequencies. Councils watched with trembling hands. They saw the impossible. The Dominion bleeding. A warship that had crushed 20 civilizations ripped apart in seconds. Elite predator squadrons scattered like frightened prey. And through the chaos, one human transmission echoed across the stars. "We are human. And we do not kneel." Admiral Kreth roared, his voice shaking the bloodfong. "Focus fire. Destroy them. Do not let this infection spread." But his commands were swallowed by chaos. Human strikes had severed his communication relays. His subcommanders gave conflicting orders. Squadrons collided, friendly fire tore through formations. The Vyrak had always won through fear and overwhelming strength. But against humans, strength wasn't enough. Fear no longer worked. Yet victory was not free. The UNS Revenant fought like a demon, cutting through enemy lines, until a swarm of Dominion frigates locked onto it. Explosions ripped across its hull. Warning sirens screamed. Captain Alara Vance, her face calm despite the fire around her, gave the order. "Reroute power to the main railgun. One last strike." Her crew obeyed. The railgun fired, obliterating a Dominion battleship, before the Revenant was consumed in fire. Across Earth's command center, silence fell as the ship's signal vanished. General Hale's jaw tightened. "Mark this day. Humanity bleeds. But we never bow." The loss of the Revenant only fueled human ferocity. Squadrons fought harder, striking deeper into Dominion lines. By the battle's end, hundreds of Dominion warships lay shattered. The survivors fled, dragging their wreckage-strewn pride with them. For the first time in millennia, the Vyrak Dominion retreated. Across the galaxy, silence followed the news. On slave worlds, whispers became chants. On rebel ships, laughter erupted like thunder. On council chambers, disbelief turned to hope. The unthinkable had happened. The Dominion had been stopped. And one truth echoed louder than ever before. The humans had arrived. On the bridge of the retreating Bloodfang, Admiral Kreth stared at the wreckage of his once mighty fleet. Fear gnawed at him, a sensation alien to a predator like him. But beneath the fear came rage. "This is not the end," he growled. "This is only the beginning. If humans want war, then we will give them a war the galaxy has never seen." In Earth's hidden command center, General Hale whispered to his council. "They will come again. Stronger. Angrier. Desperate." He turned to the fleet display, showing reinforcements moving into position. "Good," he said coldly. "Let them come." The galaxy's strongest predators had met their match. The war had only begun. The Dominion bled, but it did not break. The retreat from Sol was not the end. It was the beginning of something far more dangerous. As the Vyrak Dominion gathered its forces, rallying with fury and shame, the humans moved faster. Their fleets didn't wait for the enemy to return. Instead, they struck first. World after world, system after system, fires erupted across the stars. Everywhere the Dominion thought themselves untouchable, the humans appeared. Everywhere the Dominion had planted fear, the humans replaced it with defiance. The galaxy had seen the predators bleed. Now it would see them burn. In the fortified world of Thrynak Prime, Vyrak commanders argued furiously. Their empire had never known defeat. Yet fleets were vanishing. Outposts were going dark. Slave revolts were spreading like wildfire. Admiral Kreth's image flickered across the chamber, his face twisted with rage. "Human raids cripple our supply lines. They free slaves faster than we can capture them. If this continues, the Dominion itself will fracture." A general snarled back. "Then we crush their worlds." But Kreth knew the truth. You cannot crush shadows. These humans fight differently. They cut where it hurts most, then vanish. On Earth, General Hale studied the holomap. Red markers, Vyrak strongholds, burned across the galaxy. Green markers, human fleets, moved in surgical strikes. "This is not about territory," Hale explained to his commanders. "This is about fear. The Dominion ruled through terror. Now we give them a taste of their own weapon." Human fleets didn't waste time holding captured systems. They didn't try to defend everything. Instead, they struck deep, fast, and precise, destroying supply chains, freeing slaves, and vanishing before reinforcements arrived. The galaxy called it the Ghost War. On the Dominion-controlled world of Karath, night skies lit up as human drop pods tore through the atmosphere. Vyrak soldiers scrambled, their massive reptilian forms roaring orders. But the humans were already moving. Teams of armored soldiers cut through the city like shadows. Explosives ripped slave pens open. Chains shattered. Civilians, once silent and hopeless, now rose with stolen weapons. A Vyrak commander roared as he charged a human squad. His blade cleaved through the air, only to be caught by a human's gauntlet. The soldier's visor glowed as he whispered through his comm. "Humanity stands." The commander fell moments later. By dawn, Karath burned. And its people were free. News spread faster than fire. Slave species that had cowered for centuries now dared to fight. Resistance cells emerged everywhere. Some carried weapons. Others carried only hope. But all carried one word on their lips: humans. The Dominion had thought Earth was just another prey world. Instead, it had awakened a predator it could not cage. Admiral Kreth's patience shattered. He unleashed extermination fleets. Worlds suspected of aiding humans were scorched. Billions died. His rage was merciless. Yet the humans were always one step ahead. They struck his fuel depots while his fleets were busy burning innocents. They hacked his communication relays, turning his commands into chaos. Every victory the Dominion claimed only weakened it further. But the humans also paid a price. On the colony of Velar, a human strike force held the line against overwhelming Dominion troops. Outnumbered 20 to 1, they fought until their last breath, long enough to evacuate every civilian on the planet. Their final transmission spread across the resistance networks. "We are human. We fight until there's no fight left." The names of Velar's defenders became a rallying cry. Across the galaxy, statues of unknown human soldiers were built by alien hands. As weeks turned into months, the Dominion began to fracture. Slave armies once loyal to their masters now turned their weapons against them. Supply shortages spread. Dominion fleets grew desperate. For the first time in thousands of years, the predators knew what it meant to be hunted. But even as victories mounted, General Hale warned Earth's Council. "Do not mistake this for the end. The Dominion still has teeth. And predators fight hardest when they are cornered." In the cold reaches of Dominion space, Admiral Kreth stood before a hidden chamber. Inside, vast war machines slept, ancient weapons from the Dominion's first conquests, sealed away because they were too destructive even for predators. Kreth's eyes burned with fury. "Humans want fire across the stars," he growled. "Then we will drown them in it." As the ancient weapons awakened, alarms echoed across Dominion command. The galaxy had witnessed fire. Now it would witness hell. The galaxy thought it had seen the worst. It thought the fires of war had reached their peak. But it was wrong. In the dark heart of Dominion space, something stirred. Something ancient. Something terrible. The Vyrak had always claimed their power came from themselves, raw, unbroken strength. But buried deep within their vaults were weapons so destructive, so uncontrollable, that even the Dominion had sworn never to use them. Now Admiral Kreth broke that vow. The galaxy had seen humans fight. It had seen them win. But what would humanity do when the Dominion unleashed its last, forbidden weapon? On Thrynak Prime, alarms shook the atmosphere. Massive hangar doors, sealed for millennia, cracked open. Inside slept the dreadforms, war machines from the first conquest, built when the Vyrak enslaved half the galaxy. Living metal, fused with ancient predators, towering above ships, capable of consuming entire fleets. Kreth's voice thundered across the Dominion. "Let the galaxy know, strength belongs to predators alone. And we are eternal." The dreadforms roared awake, their eyes burning like suns. The human fleet over Cyralis never saw it coming. Sensors screamed, then fell silent. Space itself seemed to bend as a dreadform emerged from the void. It was not a ship. It was a nightmare given form. Part flesh, part steel, its maw glowing with starfire. The first blast tore through 3 human cruisers in an instant. Escape pods scattered, only to be swallowed by tendrils of molten energy. "Dear God," whispered Captain Reyes, her knuckles white on the command chair. That's not a ship." Her transmission was the last thing Cyralis heard before the system fell silent. On Earth, panic spread through the War Council. "Dreadforms," General Hale muttered, staring at the grainy footage. "We thought they were myths." "They're not myths anymore," said Admiral Chen. "We need to adapt. Fast." Earth scrambled to upgrade its fleets. Weapons were reforged. Strategies rewritten. But Hale knew brute force alone would not win. "Every predator has a weakness," he said quietly. "We just have to find it, before the galaxy burns." Across the galaxy, hope began to flicker. Wherever the humans had sparked rebellion, the dreadforms arrived to snuff it out. On Vornak, a slave uprising was erased in hours. On Relios, an entire moon was consumed, its core drained to fuel the dreadforms' hunger. Messages of defiance were replaced with silence. The galaxy whispered, "Maybe humans cannot save us after all." And the Dominion, sensing fear returning, grew bolder. But humans were not finished. Captain Reyes, who had survived Cyralis, limped her damaged ship back to Earth. With her came vital data, fragments of scans from the dreadform's core. "It's alive," Reyes reported. "It thinks. It feeds. But if it can feed, it can starve." The Human Council seized on the idea. A plan was born: lure a dreadform into a trap, cut it off from its energy source, and cripple it. It was dangerous. It was desperate. It was human. In the barren system of Jorel, humanity prepared its snare. Dozens of human ships hid in asteroid fields, their signatures masked. Artificial energy beacons pulsed in the void, bait for the predator. Hours passed. Silence. Then the stars rippled. The dread form arrived. Its colossal form twisted space as it surged toward the false signals. For a moment, humanity dared to hope. Then the beast turned its gaze. It had sensed them. Positions. Hold the line. Reyes shouted as the first blast tore through the asteroids. The trap had become a battle for survival. The fight was chaos. Human frigates darted like gnats, striking and fleeing. The dread form lashed out, ripping ships apart with beams of molten fire. But every second it fought, its hunger grew. The humans had cut off the real energy lines in the system. The beast began to weaken. Now, Hale ordered. A swarm of human torpedoes struck the dreadform's core. For the first time in history, the nightmare screamed. It reeled, crippled, its body cracking open as molten light spilled into the void. Humanity had done the impossible. They had wounded a dreadform. The victory should have ignited hope. But Hale saw the larger truth. One dreadform, he said grimly. And it nearly broke us. His aides turned pale. How many more? Deep in Dominion space, Kreth stood before a vast chamber. Thousands of dreadforms slept within, their hulking silhouettes stretching beyond sight. Kreth's lips curled into a predator's grin. Humans think they have won a battle. But they have only woken the war. The chamber lights flared as one by one, the ancient monsters stirred. The galaxy did not tremble. It screamed. The galaxy had seen war. It had seen fleets burn, planets crack, empires fall. But never this. The Vyrak Dominion had broken its final seal. The dreadforms, monsters from the dawn of conquest, now rose in the thousands. Each one a nightmare that devoured systems whole. Entire sectors went dark in days. Hope vanished. Even whispers of resistance grew silent. And yet, in the shadows of defeat, one voice rose. Human. Unyielding. General Hale spoke only 7 words. If this is extinction, we fight anyway. The galaxy's last war had begun. System by system, the dreadforms advanced. On Aerith Prime, the sky itself split open as 3 dreadforms descended. The planet's defense grid lasted only minutes before being torn apart like paper. The survivors screamed into the void, only silence answered. On the frozen colony of Vera, refugees fled underground caverns, only to be hunted down when molten claws ripped through the ice. World after world burned, leaving only ash. The Dominion did not even gloat. The dreadforms were beyond arrogance. They were hunger made flesh. While others despaired, humans fought on. Admiral Chen rallied fleets at Vega Prime. Captain Reyes led raids deep into Dominion space, striking supply lines, forcing the predators to bleed energy. But even victories felt like delays, not triumphs. Every time one dreadform fell, 3 more awoke. General Hale stood before the Galaxy Council, filled with terrified delegates. You want to hide? Hide. You want to surrender? Surrender. But know this, humans will not run. We will not bow. We will fight to the last star. For the first time, alien leaders began to believe. Not in survival, but in resistance. Out of desperation, an alliance was forged. The proud Seraphon fleets. The agile Kalari skirmishers. The cunning traders of Relios. All had once mocked humans as reckless primitives. Now they looked to them for command. Earth became the rallying point. Hidden shipyards churned out warships at impossible speed. Human engineers rewired alien tech, fusing dozens of species weapons into brutal hybrids. And at the heart of the alliance stood Project Aegis, the largest weapon humanity had ever built. A fortress ship, armed with a singularity cannon capable of tearing a star in half. It would be the galaxy's spear, or its tomb. The Battle of Norix was the first true test. 5 dreadforms descended, their maws glowing with world-breaking fire. The Alliance fleet met them in a storm of chaos. Kalari dartships sliced at weak points. Seraphon dreadnoughts held the line with massive shields. Humans led the charge, reckless and unyielding. And then Aegis fired. A beam of condensed gravity speared through space, collapsing one dreadform into a singularity. The beast screamed as its body folded in on itself before vanishing into nothing. For the first time in recorded history, a dreadform had been destroyed. The galaxy roared with hope. But hope was short-lived. Admiral Kreth unleashed the full swarm. 50 dreadforms poured into Allied space, tearing through fleets, burning colonies, devouring everything in their path. The Alliance held, but barely. Aegis burned from repeated strikes. Casualties mounted in the billions. Still, humans refused to break. Even in retreat, their voices thundered across comms. We do not yield. We do not kneel. Kreth, furious, swore the humans would be the first species erased. The war reached its climax at Sol. Earth itself stood in the path of the Dominion swarm. Every surviving fleet, every battered ship, every desperate soul gathered around humanity's cradle. The stars burned with the light of thousands of vessels, facing down an endless tide of dreadforms. General Hale's voice rang through the channels. Today, humanity does not fight alone. Today, the galaxy fights as one. If we fall together. But if we win forever. The battle began. The sky above Earth became hell. Dreadforms charged, their bodies glowing with molten power. The Alliance met them with everything it had. Kalari ships weaved between claws of fire. Seraphon shields shattered under the weight of blows but held long enough for human torpedoes to strike. Aegis unleashed its cannon again and again, collapsing dreadforms into screaming voids. Each shot tore the ship closer to destruction. Reyes led a suicide run, her fleet driving straight into the maw of a dreadform, planting charges deep inside its core. The explosion ripped the beast apart, but Reyes' ship vanished with it. Humanity bled. The Alliance bled. But they fought like predators born for this moment. As the battle raged, Hale made the final call. Aegis, overload the cannon. All power, all cores. One last shot. The crew obeyed without hesitation. The singularity cannon roared, brighter than a star. It tore through the largest dreadform, collapsing not just its body but the Dominion command nexus hidden within. Kreth himself was caught in the blast, his flagship shattered into nothingness. One by one, the dreadforms faltered. Their connection severed, their hunger unbound. They tore themselves apart, imploding across the stars. The swarm was gone. Silence fell over the battlefield. Ships drifted, broken but alive. Earth burned, scarred but unbroken. Billions had died. Countless worlds were ash. But the Dominion was no more. The galaxy had survived extinction. On the Aegis ruined bridge, Hale stood bloodied but unbowed. His words carried across every surviving channel. The Dominion called themselves the strongest. They said no one could match them. But they were wrong. Humanity has shown them, and the galaxy, that predators can bleed. That predators can fall. And that together, we are stronger than fear. The war was over. But far beyond the galaxy, in the black between clusters, something stirred. Sensors caught faint whispers. A signal. Not Vyrak. Not human. Something older. Something watching. The galaxy had survived one war. But the stars promised, another would come.